Okay, so now we are starting the chapter 2 of history. Chapter 2 is also a continuation of the chapter 1. So, whatever story we have read in chapter 1, you should remember those. Now, till last chapter, we have seen that the company people they have taken the permission from Queen Elizabeth, and then Queen has granted the permission, and as you know that then there were fight between the Dutch, Portuguese, British people. They all were fighting for the power in India, and finally British won. But the problem was that Britishers were very rude to the Indian farmers, Indian zamindars, all were very cruelly treated by our this company people. Then we have seen that there was a revolution of 1857 where many people, many queens like Jhansi Ki Rani, then Tatya Tope, all of them have protested against the company, and then finally Queen has taken the power in her hand, and the company was devoid of the power. Up to this we have read. This first two page is also a revision for that. Let's revise about it. Chapter 2 is Indian freedom struggle, means how the people of India like Gandhi ji, the Congress people, how they have fought against the company rule. So the first part is, as you can see here, in 1600 the English East India Company EEIC was granted a charter. Charter is a permission by Queen Elizabeth I to take control over trade in India. The British had to compete against the Portuguese, French, and Dutch. As I have told you earlier also that Portuguese people, French people, Dutch people, they all were there before British. So British had to fight against them to gain over the control in India. The British had to compete against these old people, and they eventually emerged victorious. Who were victorious? Britishers were the victorious. Here also you can see the picture, like Rani is giving the permission, means Queen is giving the permission, the charter, and then the company people they are saying, "Thank you, Your Highness." Highness we tell to the higher post people as Highness. Then second part. Then they have taken the permission. Now what? The Britishers, the company people are discussing amongst them. The British were eager to gain control over Bengal, India's richest province. Bengal was considered to be very rich that time. That's why the British people they were discussing to gain control over it. It might be difficult to convince the Nawab of Bengal, as we knew Mir Zafar, Mir Qasim, all those were there. They were um, not willing to give their power to the Britishers, like the other people have already done. The Mughals and all, they have given all the power to the Britishers. But the Bengal Nawab was initially not ready to give away his power. This we have read in last chapter, right? So then it might be difficult to convince the Nawab of Bengal, one Britisher is saying. Another British person is saying, then there is only one option. What is the option? The option is war. So one option is there that you have to fight against them. Then the next, this lead to the Battle of Palasi in 1757. This all informations we have read. Again you can just revise and remember the years. 1757 Battle of Palasi with Bengal, Sirajud-Dowla, all these things you should remember. The Nawab of Bengal was defeated, and as we know that Nawab of Bengal was defeated in the Battle of Palasi. Now these Nawab they are talking amongst each other. The British are becoming a threat to us, like you see in the green bubble, then the red bubble. what, another battle? Means they are forcing them to go for battle, and as we know that Britishers had cannons, guns, and all those things they had. That's why they were winning all the battles, right? The Battle of Buxar was fought in 1764, and Mir Qasim, the Nawab of Bengal, Suja ud Dawla, the Nawab of Awadh, and Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor, were defeated. All these names we have read earlier also. Fine? We all know about all these wars, that they were defeated by the Britishers. Okay? Then the next, with victory of Buxar, the company's rule in Bengal, Bihar, Odisha began. With the establishment of the company's rule started the exploitation of Bengal. Means they all started exploiting Bengal. Exploiting means taking away your properties but not giving anything in return. They were torturing the British farmers, they were torturing the Nawabs. Everybody, the Britishers were torturing. Okay. The British Governor General Lord Cornwallis introduced the permanent settlement in 1793. There is a system known as permanent settlement. Okay, you can remember this point. Like there was a system known as permanent settlement. When it was introduced in 1793. So you should remember. Question can come. When permanent settlement was started? Permanent settlement was started in 1793. By whom? By British Governor General Lord Cornwallis. All these things you should remember. So what is this system actually? Means farmers were given a portion of land, and then they were supposed to give a amount of tax to the Britishers. Okay, this was the system. We'll read in details about it in the chapter. Um, Fine. Then, yeah. Then this. So In permanent settlement, the life was becoming very, very um, difficult for the peasant, difficult for these people, because they were poor. They did not want any kind of permanent settlement for that purpose. Okay. Now this. Now the next page is again about the story. Factories in Britain used raw materials that came from India. Peasants, means farmers, were forced to cultivate indigo. I have told earlier, indigo, Neil, they were forced to cultivate indigo, which the British required for their factories in Britain. Means they were forced to plant indigo, and then they were taken the indigo at a very low cost, and the peasants were at loss. And as I have told, if you plant indigo once, that particular land becomes infertile, means in future you are unable to cultivate anything else over there. Okay, so you see the yellow bubble. We cannot grow food crops for my family as we are told to go for factories. They are telling the problems with each other. I cannot pay the tax they demanded. My crops have failed. So these are the problems what the uh, farmers were facing. Then this bubble, the British are using us, means they are using us. They do not care for us. We shall surely die of hunger and poverty. So if this goes on, they will have to die. They were discussing that. Then this, there was growing discontent among people against the British. Means people have started hating the Britishers now. Many sections of society came together to challenge the British. Many people, uh, many section means what? Peasants, then workers, then shopkeepers. They were standing against them, but actually they did not have that much power like king or the Nawab. Okay, so the fight was not of equal, but still many people were gathering. So if so many people gathered against few British people, finally they would be able to win, which actually happened in 1947. We gained our freedom, but that was not easy. Many people had to fight for this. Okay. Okay. Then what? The first revolt started, which we have read in the last chapter. The revolt of 1857, often called the First War of Indian Independence, shook the very foundation of the EEIC, ruled in India. Many brave lives were lost, and the company lost its control over India. Many brave lives, including Mangal Pandey, he was hanged, he was killed. Um, Jhansi Ki Rani was killed, Tatya Tope was killed, many people were taken to prison. Fine, all these things happened, and company also lost the rule of India. Now, directly the rule was again, in the hand of Queen Elizabeth. People thought that it will be a good sign, but actually, they are Britishers, they are foreign people. They were not that much careful to us, which our government would be. Our own people would be more careful, right? So then uh, Queen Victoria became the Empress of India, and the British governor began its rule over India. Finally, the government it was finally India was directly under the government rule of the British. Earlier, it was under the rule of the company. Now, British government has taken over the rule. Okay. So these two pages are just the summarization of the earlier, because we are just continuing the history. Then from the next page we will start the new story. How did the struggle happen? What was all the things which happened on, and we will read about it. Fine.